Welcome to Algebra 1, Semester 2, Unit 10, Section OC 5.5. Okay, we just have a short little bit here. How can you model and solve problems involving exponential data? You can apply properties of equations that you already know in solving equations with the exponent being a variable. So let's go ahead and do this. We draw the line down. We know that we want to get that alone. And now we ask ourselves, well, is there anything being added or subtracted over here on this side? There isn't, but there is something being multiplied that we could get rid of. So let's get rid of this 5/2 and multiply by the reciprocal. 2 over 5. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So this will cancel or reduce, and we have 2 to the x equals 5 goes into 80 16 times. 16 times 2 is 32. So now we say, well, 2 to what power equals 32? You need to take that 32 and break it down into factors of 2. 2 and 16, there's 1. 2 and 8, that makes 2. 2 and 4. Now count all your factors of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 to the 5th equals 32. So that means that your x equals 5. Okay? And you can plug that back in there and it will work. Draw your line. Looks like we need to multiply by 1/4 or divide by 4. Since it's a fraction over here, I like to just do the 1/4. So we have 1/4 reduces with 4, and we have 5/3 to the x equals 4 will go into 500. 125 times, so now we have 125 over 27. Okay? We need to know what power for 5 over 3 will equal 125 over 27. So we take 125 and we break it down, finding the roots of 5. 5, 25, 5, and 5. And 27, we break down to roots of 3. So 27 is 3, 9, 3, and 3. So if we look closely at this fraction, what it really is saying is 5 times 5 times 5 over 3 times 3 times 3. Well, we know that that means that that is 5/3 to the 3rd power is equal to that. So we know that x equals 3, because x is the power right there. How can you check your solution? Plug it back in to the original equation. How can you work backwards to write as a power of? I've shown you actually how to work backwards so that you're over here factoring those backwards into what that x could be. Is it possible to solve the equation 2 to the x equals 96 using the model example? Why or why not? Well, let's factor this down and see if it works. So 2 goes into 96 48 times. 48 by 2 is 24. 24 from 2 is 12. Circle these factors. 12 is 2 and 6, 2 and 3. So we have a problem here. We can't show it just as factors of 2 because there's a 3 right there. So that tells us that no, this cannot be done. No, because 2 2 is not a root of 96. Okay, not a pure root of that. Okay, solve the equation without graphing. So we draw our line down, we divide by 5 on each side. Reduces, we have 3 to the x equals 81. Break down your 81, and we see that it's 3 to the 4th equals 81, so x equals 4. Next problem, we multiply by 5 to get rid of that 1/5, so we have times 5 on this side, times 5 on this side. That'll reduce that 1/5, and we have 5 to the x equals 25. Well, that's one that we've memorized. 5 squared equals 25, so now we know x equals 2. Next problem, divide by 10 on each side. We have 4 to the x equals 64. We memorized that one. 4 cubed equals 64, or x equals 3. If you have neglected to memorize your perfect squares and perfect cubes, you need to make sure and do that. You're making a lot more work for yourself when you have to figure those out every time. Okay, we have times 7 here, so we'll multiply by a 1 over 7, because that 7 was over 1. Multiply this side by 1 over 7. The 7s will reduce, 1s will reduce. We have 1/2 to the x equals, the 7s reduce, 1 over 8. Well, it's kind of hard to break this down, but we do know that 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4 times another half is 1/8. So we know that x equals 1, 2, 3, because it's 1/2 to the 3rd. Next one, we multiply by 4/3 to get rid of that. Multiply each side by 4/3. That will reduce. We get 2/3 to the x equals 4 times 4 is 16. And 27 times 3 is 81. So we ask ourselves, how many 2's will equal 16? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. 3 times 3 would be 9, times another 9 is 81. We ended up with 4 of each one, so we know that 2 to the 3rd, or 2/3 to the 4th is equal to this, which means that x equals 4. Okay, next one, we have a 3 here, so we multiply by 1/3. Same thing as dividing by 3. This cancels, and 3 can reduce into 27 9 times. So now we have 3 over 10 to the x equals 9 over 100. 3 squared is 9, 10 squared is 100. You have those memorized, so we know that x equals 2. That is the end of this section notes, and it's also the end of this unit. So come to class, get the study guide, and prepare for the test.